guys, happy Sunday and welcome back to my channel. So this week we're going to be updating some of the lighting around the home, also just some little details around the home. So we have some things in the house that are a little bit more outdated, that were the previous owner's taste, that sort of thing, that I want to swap out to make it more my style, to make it fit seamlessly with the decor of the rest of the home, and to just make it feel more modern in a sense, but modern in the way of matching my style. So I still very much have a vintage style and decor and taste in how I decorate the house, but I want to kind of just update these pieces so that they match that vintage style, if that makes sense. So we're going to be doing that this week with a couple of pieces that are all secondhand that we got at either a thrift store, a flea market, Facebook Marketplace, something like that. Everything is super budget friendly. Some of it does need to be fixed up a little bit because they are secondhand, but none of it is store-bought brand new. So we're going to be able to take some pieces and give them a second life, freshen them up, make them look nicer and newer, and then put them into the house so that they can update our space. If you're interested in seeing some of the pieces that I got at flea markets and thrift stores and those types of places and how I'm going to use them to decorate in my home and how I'm going to update them so that they look nice and new and fresh in the home, then stick around and watch this video and we're going to get right into it. Okay, so the first light that we're going to be working with is this one right here. This one is definitely the one that needs to be cleaned up the most. I got this light at a flea market type store, not a full-on market, but a flea market store. I'm pretty sure it's from the 70s, and we're gonna put this in our hallway and replace the light that we have in there right now. This light I got for $5, which I thought was a great deal. I was very happy to find this light and very happy with the price. So the plan is that we are going to remove the rust on this light and then take out all these glass pieces and clean them up and then spray paint it with a fresh coat of gold spray paint, and then it should be pretty good to go. We're gonna go ahead and get started on this, and then once this all dries, we can hang it in our hallway. Okay, so step one is just going to be removing all of these glass pieces so that we can clean them up and have them out for when we spray paint, so that I don't have to tape off this entire thing. We can just kind of spray paint it and let it dry and not have to worry about keeping this protected. So the plan for removing these screws is to try some WD-40 and Goo Gone to get them off, and then we could put them in some rust remover and spray paint them. I'm going to give that a go and see what happens, and then we can kind of just take it from there. Oh yeah, that wasn't bad at all, it just popped right off. Okay, so that's a good sign. Okay, so now that we got all of these off, we're gonna go ahead and clean up the glass. Just to show you guys this pattern up close, it has this really pretty like star pattern on it. So I think that's gonna look really nice once we get it all cleaned up when the light is on. So this already made a huge difference. If you can tell, this one just has a ton of like dirt and grime and stuff on it, so these are going to clean up really nicely. Guys, so the first light that we're going to be replacing is in this hallway here. This hallway is kind of like a work in progress space. We're slowly transforming it to be more in line with the style of the house. And so the one that we had to kind of fix up is going to go in here. And Matt is going to help me because he is much better with electrical work than I am. I have not had to do a lot of electrical work. This is kind of like my first dive into it. And then because our house is really old, the electrical is kind of a mess, all mixed up. up and they've spliced a lot of things, so it's more complicated than a normal electrical wiring job may be. So he's going to help with this today. He's going to show me how to do this kind of thing so that I can do it in the future. We're going to take this light down and I'll show you what it looks like. We will start to rewire that light so that we can put it up here. There's not like a gaping hole underneath this that we have to cover. Okay, so Matt got this part off, but we've never taken the base off before, so I'm going to try and look around and see how to get it off, and hopefully we'll figure it out. Oh, it looks like there's some screws.
Oh, you can see them?
Can I see a flashlight? How do you take these light bulb things off? Oh, we got a tiny screwdriver. Okay, so we ended up having to cut the little light holders off, these little guys, because they're attached by rivets, so we couldn't remove them. Look how absolutely foul these look. I mean, they're so old and gross. The plan is that if we ever needed to reattach this or that light, if we were moving, we can just rewire this to put it back up and it would be totally fine. So this thing has been so hard to get down. Everything is rusted. We're not sure how they even attached it. Like, things keep falling on us. Yeah, it's pretty gross. I have no idea how long this light's been up there. So definitely happy that we are swapping it because it's hurting and it's making me question every light that is up right now. Also, by the way, we did turn the power off before starting any of this. Definitely do that. You don't want to electrocute yourself. Is it broken? Don't tell me it's broken. Did you break it?
I don't know if I broke it. See how long it is compared to that one?
Yep, that's not what you want.
Yeah.
That looks so
gross. What is that?
Let me see. I know. No, let me know.
I gotta cut this umbilical cord.
Oh no. Who did this?
Oh, that was a grounding. Okay.
Here you go. Oh my god. I mean, at least that's a small hole, but like what? Okay, I need to show them. So we just took it off and this is what we just found. What is that? Who wired that?
Is that a leaf?
Probably. I mean, literal nightmare fuel.
We've got a mix of just raw copper, a lot of these like splices that go
like
knows where.
5,000 wires put together, spliced. Definitely need to repaint the ceiling.
And this like conductor is like rusted and it's barely into the ceiling because it's like this like stucco material.
Yeah, there's a leaf up there. But the good news is that that is a small hole, so our new light should cover it, so that's cool.
That's just old paper.
Okay, so we got everything down and Matt is fixing some of the wiring. We cut the wire on our light that we're putting up to be the right length, and he's using liquid electrical tape to keep the wires he wants together. And then we'll be able to put some new wires in from the ones we took out and connect it to the light that we're putting up. But I did test the plate, this plate right here, which is the top of the light that's going up, and it mostly fits, but there would be a little bit of cracked wall sticking out from around it. So I have two options. I can either take some joint compound and I forget what it's called, but it's like plaster tape where you put that down and put the joint compound over it to repair wall holes, and I could fix it like that. I have those things. Or we can use something to cover it and leave it as is. So what I'm thinking is that we are going to get a plaster medallion to go up on the wall, and then this would sit in the hole of the medallion, and I think it would go really well with just the look of the space and kind of shifting the look of this hallway, and it would cover that hole. I saw one on Facebook Marketplace and I messaged them, and so hopefully they will message back and we'll be able to go pick that up. That's where we're at right now. We're going to finish doing some of the wiring, and then hopefully we'll hear back from the people about the medallion to be able to go pick it up. If we do, I will take you guys along with me so that you can see what that looks like and how much it ended up being. Okay, so we have our light all assembled. I put the whole thing back together, so it's ready to go. It's looking really good. The spray paint really cleaned it up, and the glass has no scratches on it. It really just needed to be cleaned. And then I braided the wires and put them through the chain so they're nice and neat. And we have it all coming out the top here and labeled so that we know what to put into the ceiling. I haven't heard back about the medallion for the ceiling yet. We're gonna put it up as it is right now and one, you'll probably see a little bit of the hole, but hopefully we'll hear back about the medallion tomorrow, and then we could take this down and put the medallion up and have it entirely done. We are going to go ahead and put this in the ceiling, and we'll turn on the power and see if it works.
It's much easier. Thank you.
Okay, so I was holding that up for like 8 minutes while we tried to figure out what screw would fit. So we bungee corded it to the ceiling hole so that we can turn the power on and see if it works. So I just flipped the breaker and we're gonna test it and see if it works. So here we go. Woo! Looks good. All right, our $5 flea market light is working.
Yeah.
So that's good. This looks nice.
All right, we're done. Nala disagrees.
Okay, so well, now that we know what screws we need, we're gonna try and line it up and screw it into the ceiling. Alright, so here she is. We got it up. It was a little bit of a chore to get it up. It was hard to find the holes that the screws could fit into with all the wires that are up there because it's just chaos in there. The way that this house has been rewired, because it's an old house and there's an extension, everything is spliced. So the breaker that turns this off turned off this hallway, half of our bedroom, the living room, and the studio space. So it was just kind of like mix and matched all around the house. So that's what was happening in that hole in the ceiling. All those wires were just all of that, I guess. We got it all sorted. It's hanging, it's working. So that is good. I really like it. I think it's super pretty. I definitely think this is a huge improvement from the old light. I'm excited to see what it'll look like when we get the medallion and put it up there. I think that will look really nice. And it'll also cover up the openings that you can see and the discoloration, which we could just paint, but the openings are the main issue. So it'll hide all of that so that you won't see it. I think that's gonna be really, really pretty. We were just talking about the lights that we picked out. I feel like that makes a huge difference in your space because LED lights now can be really harsh and have that super white light. So I like to go for more of the neutral warm tone. I don't want the full orange, but I do want it to be more in the neutral where it's in between the white light and the orange. That's what I picked with these ones. I went with the vintage style light bulb so that it went with the light well, and I think it looks really, really nice. Once we get the medallion up, then I will show you what it looks like in the entire hallway space. I do plan to do like a couple little updates in this hallway to just kind of make it a little bit more in line with the style of the house and kind of update it to fit my style now versus my style when I moved into this house. There will be some changes happening in here in the future. Do is a couple of little detail changes in the studio space. They're really small things, but I think they're going to make a pretty big impact. So the first thing that I want to do is to take this lamp right here and swap out the lampshade. So I found a lampshade that I absolutely love at that same flea market that I found the light for the hallway. That's $5. That flea market was just like ridiculous with prices. It was one that you really had to sift through things and be willing to take the time to kind of look and find something that was worthwhile, because there was a lot of stuff that was just more on like the junk end of the spectrum. If you really kind of look through it all, there were a lot of really, really great things in that flea market too. And if you're interested in knowing where that one is, I forgot the name of it, but leave me a comment and I can look it up and let you know. It's in Florida, so if you're in Florida or coming through Florida, leave me a comment and I will reply letting you know what that one was called and where it is. The lampshade that I found was just sitting by itself in the flea market, and we got probably like 8 or 9 things at this flea market. All of that that was $15. So it was just a steal at this place. So this lampshade was like $1, I think. And so we are going to swap that out, and I think it's going to make a really big difference in this space. And then the other thing that I want to do in the studio space is to put some vintage inspired hooks on the wall behind where the door opens next to the cabinet that I built. So I'll show you that and where it's going to go. We're going to get going on this lampshade. We're going to take this one off, which is just a plain, simple white lampshade that came with the lamp. I'm pretty sure this lamp is like an IKEA lamp that I got when I went to college. The lampshade swap is going to make it way more special, give it some character, and just kind of add to the room overall. So let's go ahead and take this one off, and then I'll show you the new one. Alright guys, look at this one. She is beautiful. It's a deep bluish green, which is very much my color scheme. Has that moody sort of feel to it, and anytime you have like these jewel tones, it feels vintage to me and kind of gives that European feel. I feel like in a lot of older European homes and castles and things like that, like royal colors like this, you'll see those moody jewel tones. So that is very much that vibe to me and goes with kind of the look that I'm going for. So we're going to swap it out. I love this lampshade. I think it just adds so much to the space. And I actually originally was thinking about making a lampshade for in this room that was kind of like those scalloped bubble edges, if that makes sense. I'll put a picture on the screen. But when I saw this one, I just fell in love with it and had to get it. So if you're interested in seeing a video where we make a lampshade like that, let me know. I can still make it. I have the materials to do it. So if you want to see how to do that, we can totally do that too. All right, here's the new lampshade. I love this lampshade. I think it's so pretty, totally my vibe and style, and I think it just kind of really pulls the room together. I honestly hadn't given a ton of thought to that lampshade before. It's just the lampshade that came with it, the way that it had always been, and I knew I didn't love it. It was just very simple and minimal and didn't really add anything to the space. This one I feel like just takes this room to another level. For me, what I'm learning as I get more into design and more into home renovations and really kind of dive in on taking on these renovations myself, which I've always been very creative, but kind of that more handyman side of things is newer to me. It's something that I've done in the last few years. So as I start to do that more and it makes me think about things differently, I'm really starting to notice how important the details are in a space. So doing something like swapping a lampshade, swapping a light switch, adding ornate hooks on the wall, those types of things like knobs on a dresser make a world of difference. If you don't want to do an entire makeover to your room, if you don't want to change your space entirely, whether you don't want to, you don't have the time, you don't have the budget, whatever it is, you can do little things like this, where this literally cost me $1, and I feel like it totally changes the look of this room. So just making little detail swaps can really impact your space and make it more in line with the style that you want for a really small budget. So just something to keep in mind. And on the other side of that, if you are doing a room makeover and you want to completely redo your space, keeping these sorts of things in your vision, in your plan, can really kind of round out the room. I love this lampshade. I think it looks really good. And we are going to put the hooks up on the wall, and then we'll be all done with our detail swaps. Okay guys, so this is the before light that we have in this kitchen. It's very similar to the light in the hallway. This light's been here since I moved into the house. This part of the house was an extension, so I do think that this light is newer than the light in the hallway, but we're gonna find out when we take it down. Hopefully it'll be a little bit easier of a process and less complicated wiring situation going on up there. We're gonna be swapping this light out for a larger pendant style light. The light that we're putting up here I got on Facebook Marketplace. place. It's a vintage light and I got it for $20. It was in perfect condition when I got it. So it should be, well, knock on wood, a relatively easy install, but you never know with an old home. Just like in the hallway, what we thought would be pretty straightforward ended up having a lot of little things that take more time because our home is from the 1920s. Wiring can get a little bit weird, things get old, and they just do things a different way than we do now. So it can take a lot longer when you take stuff down and see what's going on inside. So if you have an older home and you're going to do renovations or swap things out like we're doing, that's just something to keep in mind. It's not impossible. It's just going to be a little bit of a learning curve, because what would be very straightforward in a new house might be a little bit more complicated in an older house. But we learned a lot along the way, and now that Matt has taught me how to do the light in the hallway, I'm going to try and do this light in here so that I can learn how to do some electrical work as well. He does a lot of electrical work from working on his car, so he's really good at it and he's learned a ton. I'm trying to learn a little bit from him so that I can do this stuff on my own when I need to. We're gonna take this light down and then we'll see what's going on underneath and how big the hole is. I did get a medallion for in the hallway. I ended up getting it off of Amazon because the seller on Facebook just never responded to me, but the Amazon price was actually the same as the Facebook one, so it turned out really well. And I got 2 medallions for $20. So I thought that was a really good deal. They were $10 each, and now I have one for the hallway and one for in here if we need to. So we're going to take this down and then I will give you an update as to what's going on underneath it.
Is this one of those that's like glued?
Should be.
You said it should be?
It should not be.
Oh. Is there a screw on the...
There we go.
Oh, okay.
It's painted. Oh. Okay. No, but that's not so bad.
It's a ground, right?
It looks like it.
Cut it about halfway.
Here?
Yeah.
Guys, so we cut out the medallion to make the hole a little bit bigger so that our base plate can fit inside of it like this, and that way it'll reach up against the ceiling and won't be extended and raised away. These are polyurethane foam, so you can cut them out with like a kitchen knife or something like that. It's a little bit tough, but it's doable. So what I'm going to do now, we made some little pilot holes here all around, and I'm going to take just some random screws that we had and screw it into the ceiling where I want it to go. The screws are not white, so I'll go in after the fact and paint them white to match the medallion so that you don't see them. So I'm going to screw this to the ceiling and then we'll attach our light.
The light is fading fast. From this old town we gotta go. Our bags are packed, so what we waiting for? There's no point in delaying what we both already know. Escape this time with me. Escape this time.
All right, so it is up and working. I did the wiring on this one. Matt helped me so that I could learn how to do it, and he helped me with things like holding the light up and stuff like that because it is quite heavy. Again, with this light, because we have an old house, it was a little bit more complicated than it needed to be, but we got it up. I think it looks really, really good. I'm super happy with it, and it turned on when I turned the power on, so love that. And then the other thing that I'm happy about is that we have plenty of room for the doors to open, which we tested, but was a concern because you never know, it could go wrong when you're installing. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think the medallion looks really pretty with it, and I think this is a huge upgrade from the previous light and just kind of makes the kitchen more inviting, more with that vintage feel, and kind of stepping the kitchen in the direction that I want it to go. Really love it. I would love to know what you guys think about the new lights, and I'm gonna clean all this stuff up that we used to put the light up, and then I'll show you guys kind of final pretty shots of the light in the kitchen.
We could rent a room and watch the stars dance round the moon. Fall asleep to the sounds of the sea. With you right by my side is such a sweet.
Okay, so the last thing I want to do today is to hang some hooks right here on this wall in the studio space. This is the wall that is behind the door. So I have these two hooks that I want to put here. I've had them for quite a while. These two are the only things that we are adding for details in the house today that are not vintage or secondhand. These are from Amazon. I got these a while ago when I first started redoing this room. They do have a very vintage look to them, but I just didn't see any vintage hooks that I liked in resale stores. I probably could have found some if I waited it out, but I found these that I thought were pretty nice. And they are very sturdy and well made, so I do think it's a good alternative if you don't have access to vintage materials or didn't want to go looking for a vintage hook. These ones are really nice. I want to hang them here today. I tested it out to see if I put them here if the door is going to hit it, and it does stop on the doorstop before it hits them. So as long as we don't hang anything here that sticks out past the hooks, we should be good. So my idea is to hang them kind of staggered over here and to do something along these lines, and then we'll be able to hang bags or things that I'm working on. I want to hang the vintage storage box that I made a couple videos ago here. So it just is some extra storage space, and it adds just a little bit more to the decor as well. So we're gonna hang these. I was looking at the directions for them and it seems pretty straightforward. We'll see. This room's walls are a little bit more tricky than the rest of the house because this is a part of the house that's original, so the construction is different, and these walls are very, very hard to drill into. So we'll see how it goes today.
Skip this time with me. Nowhere else to be. Skip this time with me.
Alright, so we got the hooks up and they are good to go. They're super sturdy. They really weren't that hard to put up. I only had trouble with one sinker and it just went a little bit crooked, so I just had to fix it. Other than that, it was super smooth. Yeah, they are like really, really strong, so I'm really happy with how they turned out. I think they look really pretty. So what I want to do is I'm gonna leave one of the hooks open for storage, like if Matt wants to hang work bags or something like that here. But for the other one, I want to put the vintage storage for papers and things that I made on the hook. This is what I made. If you haven't seen the video, I did this a couple of videos ago. I'll link it in the description box for you guys if you want to check it out. But I made this vintage storage container. It slides open and I have just papers that we need to keep in it. And this was actually a hot sauce box that is made of wood. It was like kind of like a crate and embossed with all the hot sauce labels and things, and I turned it into this vintage storage container to make use of it. So I added a vintage handle on top from a tray that I had that only had one handle from a thrift store, and so I want to take some ribbon because I already know that this handle is not going to fit on the hook because the hook is thicker. So I want to take a little piece of ribbon and tie just a bow onto the handle so that we can hang it from the hook. And that way I can have it out on display and be able to take it down and use it really easily without having to worry about the handle getting stuck or something like that. I think I'm going to use this burnt orange color ribbon that I have from fall time from DIYs that I was doing because this ribbon matches the burnt orange blanket that I have on my chair in here. So I think it would tie in really nicely with the room. So I'm going to cut a piece of this and hang it on our new hooks and then we'll be all done. So that wraps up this week's video. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you had fun seeing how we took some of these secondhand pieces and fixed them up and kind of upcycled them in a way while still keeping them true to their original look and vintage nature, so that we could add them to our space and update some of these fixtures that I view as a little bit more outdated and not matching with my style, to just make the house really cohesive, which is kind of always my goal, is to make sure that the house still has a lot of character and personality, but it stays cohesive and in one theme and style. So that's kind of what I'm doing as I move through each room in our house, is updating them to be special and unique and their own space, but still having that overall vintage French country sort of feel to them. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I really love how everything turned out. I think that the light fixtures look so much better now. I think they have a lot more character and personality, and they just bring way more interest to the space and just make it a much more cozy feeling when you walk into the room. So if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy seeing this type of makeover, DIY, renovation, that sort of thing, then don't forget to like and subscribe so you can see more of my videos. I put out new videos every single Sunday, and we do a ton of really cool things like this on the channel. And I also really love to hear from you all on what you're enjoying, what you'd like to see more of, so that I can incorporate that and make sure that you're seeing things that you enjoy too. And don't forget to tune in next Sunday for another video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week.